starts at page 4. Oh, it's, I guess it's out of order.
We need to wait to start.
Yeah.
That's fine. I just want to be sure. I didn't want to hit record if I didn't know what it was.
So it comes up through 46.
How are you? Good.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. And then on the speaker. Yeah, so we also use the speaker tonight, and it's reaction.
These are all ones.
So
This is
just
the first
I'll-
one, and then
I'll
this
shoot
one,
that.
and this one, and then the fourth one, and then the
Just
last
use
one. This
this
is
for
it.
this. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't have room in here to add the new. I got too many pages.
We'll get started here in just a few minutes here. Apologize for being a little bit late, but Kevin brought something that needed
I
copies,
was so
so
nervous. I was like, do I
bear with us, please, if you would.
Hey, I got a question. This is about this meeting, I have a question. If I had missed last meeting, I wouldn't care. Okay, so I don't know. Thank you for clarifying. I've never not been here, so I don't know.
Should try it more often.
I haven't saw them since Christmas.
Really?
Yep.
What's wrong with you?
Yep.
Okay, wow. Way to make me feel guilty about my life. That's what my dad said.
Hey, you gotta remember, one day, they won't be there to go visit.
No, I know that. Way to make me keep feeling worse. I was there Saturday, if it makes you feel better.
It does.
Yeah.
I'll report to you every time I go see you. Keep track.
Please do.
No problem.
Not the last house, but this one.
Okay. I knew it was out there somewhere, but my mom
So I don't come out. Not that way, but I'm on one side and they're
Your turn.
I tried the whole
Sorry,
thing.
I think there's another, what's more than one spot?
It will.
Next room.
No, I guess I don't need to sign it, 'cause I'm not making-
Nothing we gotta worry about, I guess.
Fred and Betty's house is this, and if you hold a mirror to it, that's how mom and dad's house is. Those are my neighbors growing up. A very lucky kid.
I think.
That's a good signature.
Can you read it?
Nope. I cannot. Is that what you're supposed to do?
Yes.
I'm not doing a very good job. People? Or who was it? Am I on? see me? That makes fun of
Don't
me.
mess with it.
I got nervous.
What's this, the corrections?
Yeah.
That's not,
Even
it's okay.
It's easier for people to solve.
It's all right. It's all right. But if you ask yourself to repeat the question, you got started.
Yellow is for this meeting, so and green is from the last meeting.
Okay.
Go on yourselves. There you go. You can look at my
Quite a
phone.
bit.
Yeah, I thought she was stretching.
I have. Uh-oh. Something. Wait a minute there. Oh, no, I didn't. I have different buttons. That's not part of it.
Access with it.
Yeah. I Googled it. You can Google it, it will become a good friends. Me and my girl Google it. She's got all the answers on my phone. Can you believe that? Yeah, you did a good job.
Bring us here.
You sound really old.
Motorcycles, beware.
Is that how you say that? That was when young kids are saying these days.
These
Never heard that
doctors
one.
don't like the Amish because of some of the stuff they leave on the roads. I don't know.
I have, I don't know much.
You know, she's useful.
Oh, that's real.
Yeah, and then that picture.
Yeah. Hadn't thought of that. We're not talking about mud, we're talking about.
The seventh. Or after Easter Monday.
So does the whole thing has to be for just the access off the public road?
I think it has to be 50 feet all
All the
the way
way?
to where it widens, like this one. That isn't ugly
Mhm.
shape, but just to
Right.
where it, to get you in,
Right, okay.
I think.
She
That's
can't
not a
even
question.
walk over there.
The access has to be 50 feet. Your driveway does not have to be 50 feet. Your driveway will fall in.
Well, maybe. Random.
Does that-
Yeah, so you just
All
have-
driveways are access ways, but an access way is not a driveway. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You would. Yes.
As long as it is like put on there like that, but you don't have to take up that whole thing with gravel.
Yeah, you don't have to do that.
Right.
You know the drive. Or that's not in this to say so.
Right.
Here's what I wrote. See, a driveway can be an example of an access way. But from the specific property building frequently used in areas of the public road, pedestrians, blah, blah. But
That's a good
in your
point.
access way, it's also, I think, wanted, like, you can run your utilities up to 50 feet. If you need to run back, you would then own enough room for your utilities and everything to run with.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Like water and electric
That's
and all
true.
that stuff. I believe. I could be wrong. And that's okay. I don't need this, alright?
We're gonna go ahead and get started.
Oh, hold on.
Are we live streaming yet?
No, so I said hold on.
Oh, okay.
Hold on another side.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, I got the this. Wait over here.
We'll have to play catch up on some stuff, signatures when Lisa gets back.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm actually online.
Okay. If this starts, will you, if it doesn't start, will you let me know? Okay.
So you're watching it too, huh?
I just wanted to make sure it was going.
Yeah, it's hard to tell over here and over there. Okay, it says we're going.
We good?
I don't know yet. Usually I get a notification.
Yeah, let me know. It says we are. get nervous if it doesn't work.
Oh, it says we're live,
Okay.
but what does that actually mean? Is that the live?
Yeah, I think there's a buffer.
There it is.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. We're gonna go ahead and get started. Lisa will be back. Like I said earlier, I thought we could copy some copies of some stuff that I had brought, and it didn't work out that way, so she took off to do it. So we'll play a little bit of catch up. May have to move around just a little bit, but we'll go ahead and get started. Appreciate everyone coming tonight. Hopefully we can get a lot accomplished tonight. So if we would, let's stand. Todd's gonna do the pledge, and I'll say a prayer.
Please face the flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Dear gracious Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this day. Father, for all that you do for us. I thank you for the blessings that we have, the food that we have, the shelters that we have. And Lord, just you do so much for us. Help us, Lord, to always be mindful of you and what you do, because it's not about us, it's about you. Father, I pray that you would just be in this meeting tonight, that you would just watch over us as we talk about the betterment of our county and the people that live in this county. Lord, just lead us and guide us, I pray, and help us in what we say and what we do. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Thank you, Jesus.
Yes, sir.
All right. The review and signing of the planning commission meeting minutes, we'll table, if we don't mind, we can hold on to that till Lisa gets back, because she's gonna pass those around and we can sign it. There she is, speaking of her right there. So we just did the pledge and the prayer, Lisa,
Okay, thank you.
and we'll fill you in at the end on who did what. That's all right.
Oh, sure, that's fine.
Let you get your feet on the ground. The review and approval, signing of the plan commission meeting minutes of February 10th, 2026.
Are there any changes?
Oh, sorry. Are there any changes?
I didn't
Oh,
get them sent out in advance, they need a little bit.
Yeah.
They're handed out,
Handed out.
everybody's got them.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Everybody take a minute to, we've been reviewing those. I know, Emily, you put them out there for me.
That's okay.
Everybody had a chance? You need more time? Anyone seen any corrections that need to be made before we have a motion? All right,
Seeing none, I make a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
Todd makes a motion. to
I'll
approve
second that.
last meeting. Andrew seconds that. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. All right. Missing signature on sign-in sheet from February 10th meeting.
Got
We're
that taken
good?
care of.
Okay. discussion of the draft amendment of the subdivision control ordinance. I think we're going to
I mean,
let Emily
okay.
explain this to us.
I wasn't at last month's meeting, but I did watch the meeting, so, this is what I've come up with as answers to those questions. The way it's originally written, it says an administrative subdivision need to have 50 feet of deeded access to be considered residential. And then in F, it says if you're accessed by an easement, it's non-residential. So those are conflicting because deeded access can mean an easement or it can mean that you own it. So those contradict each other. If you can get in with an easement, you can't be residential and not residential at the same time. So the wording that was proposed is an access way that is at least 50 feet in width and conveyed via fee simple deed, which means you own it. That's only for administrative plats, that you can be residential. So then the question was, well, what's an access way? What's a driveway? So I did some Googling, and this is my interpretation. 50 foot of access way is the whole way into your parcel is 50 feet. Your driveway then falls into the access way. Your driveway does not have to be 50 feet wide. But in that access way, you can run your utilities, electric, water, all the way back to where your home's gonna be, and then it would be on your property that you own from the road all the way up to where it would open up into your, I don't know what to call that, living area, I guess, the big part of your parcel. So then the question was, well, why 50 feet? So I Googled some reasons, why 50 feet, why did that come about? So it says, just in general, that that's a good standard because it provides sufficient space for more than just a single driving lane for just one car. So I remember whenever Deidre used to be on the board, her main concern was we have to be sure that fire trucks and ambulances can get to your house. Well, if we make it 10 feet, they might not be able to adequately get to you, and you might need them fast. So 50 feet, just to go in, get your driveway in, run your utilities, it's safety. That's like a #1 concern that she had, and we always tried to address that at our meetings, that we would be sure that your emergency personnel could get to you. Another thing was, within that 50 feet, that's ample room for your utilities, like I said, water, electric, cable, anything you need to run through there. It would be on the property that you would then own, according to the administrative plat. So driveway can be 10 feet if that's what you want to put it in, within the 50 feet access way coming from the main road. Did that answer some questions?
Yes, in the definition of an access way, does that mean that it restricts other uses?
That I don't know.
For example, can you plant trees in an access way?
If you own it, if you own it, it's yours.
I was thinking 50 feet is probably
Yeah.
5, 6, 7, 8. 50 feet that's a lot.
And that's just,
That may not even be adequately 50 feet. I don't know how big the
Yeah.
stream is. But aren't our regular roads about 30 feet? So that's, 50 feet is nearly double the width of a county road, right?
the right of way for a county road is usually between 30 and maybe 45 feet.
Yeah, so we're proposing that homeowners be, and that's what I want to make sure of, is there's some burden or restriction that by calling it an access way creates for the landowner.
That's just what I looked up, so I have an answer.
Yeah, not trying to be hard on
I
you.
was the answer person last meeting, so I brought why 50 feet was a good number.
I mean, that would be covered in a definition. Do we have a definition? It's probably not here, but.
Well, it's in the, it's in the body of what we described, what where the access way goes. There's also an exhibit at the back that shows, different drawings and configurations of parcels, possible ones. There are certainly many more, to try to help people understand that.
Well, if I look at, and I'm looking at the last page on here where it says drawing C, just as an example, this is not drawn to scale. So we're showing a 150-foot wide designation for a residence plus a garage, and then we're showing 50 feet of minimum access way, and that 50 feet of minimum access way looks like it's, in real life, would probably be about 10 feet wide. If it's 100, 50 versus 150, that minimum access way should be shown as 30% of that 150, and it looks like it's more like 10% of that.
That 150 on C goes from the east line all the way, or could be all the way over. It's not just limited. That would be your front building line, so you just have to have 150 feet in
It's
front.
coming from down to here.
Well, this is actually the part of the drawing that's showing the residence in the garage on
This
drawing
would be
C.
more than 150 feet.
And then, actually, in a very similar way, every single drawing A, B, and C, where it shows the 50-foot minimum access way contained within the arrows, each of those looks to me to be about 10% of the 150-foot designation. So if we were drawing this to scale, then that 50-foot access way should be designated as 30% of the 150-foot width that's shown for the buildings.
Someone forgot to include in these drawings not to scale.
I did include that.
50
What does it say?
Yeah, at least.
Oh, NTS,
Okay.
not to scale.
Not to
Right
scale.
here.
50 feet is the industry statewide, probably nationwide standard for an access area for some of the same reasons that were mentioned. If you get fire trucks, for instance, down a narrow driveway, even though they would go off the driveway probably, in cases of emergency, you could have a jammed up situation where fire trucks could not access. Now, they're gonna tear the dirt up, they're gonna tear the sod up, but this is a pretty standard access area, and it's to ensure, for safety reasons, and nothing says, once again, that I mentioned at the last meeting, it's your property, you can plant anything you want on it, you want to plant trees on it, because your driveway is gonna be X feet wide, and that doesn't matter. There's no minimum on the width of a driveway. It can be 8, 10, 12 feet, because it's your driveway, it's your property. There are no restrictions on that. Only the access way easement.
I was just-
And it's important, there's a reason it's 50 feet.
The number one applicability of that, part B, it says the feet wide access way shall extend from the way if present and up to the front building line. No one may place a driveway on any width on that part of his or her property that lies inside of the front property line and outside the setback areas. So it looks to me like it's pretty self-explanatory there for my simple mind. And I had this thought coming in, 50 feet access road. Okay, or not 50 feet of access, the road, the driveway is not. Okay, well, we know it's gonna be 50 feet. Plant a garden, plant trees, plant whatever, as long as the trees that grow up or whatever do not interfere with an overhead power line or whatever. So anyway, thank you for the explanation on that. Any other questions on that? Any more comments about that?
I don't have any on that, no.
I would just like to see a good definition, because, it specifically says the owner may place a driveway of any width on that part of his or her property, but it doesn't say what you may or may not do outside of that. So you're given.
We're not gonna regulate what people do within that 50-foot area. We're not going down that road. We don't care. You wanna plant whatever you want. We're not
Well,
gonna.
it doesn't say that here. It only says what you can do. Typically, when I read these things, I see something that says to the effect of, that the access way can be used for any lawful purpose or similar language. We're carving out something, and by saying something is A, that could mean that it is never B. So I would like to see, some sort of protection for the property owner, because if they've got a 150-foot wide parcel, which is the minimum at the road width, And we're saying that 50 feet of it has to be this particular thing that we're calling an access way, but doesn't have an adequate definition. And that 50-foot access way has to go all the way up to the front building line.
I think all they're saying is that of that 150 feet, 50 feet of it needs to be navigable. You know, like, you need to be able to get something down it. Like, if there was a piece of property that, say, went 150 feet, but it only had like 10 feet of a natural bridge and there were these big cliffs where you fell off, there was no way anything gonna get on there except on that 10 feet. You know what I'm saying? I don't think we're trying to restrict anything. We're actually just saying,
Just the opposite.
yeah, we're actually saying, just make sure your property is accessible and you can put whatever you want on that 50 feet, just as long as there's 50 feet of access there.
You know, and you don't want to be too prescriptive. I mean, you can, it's also for utilities. Did you speak to utilities?
Yeah, in the right of way.
So, you know, is it smart to plant trees over your water line?
No,
No,
obviously.
but we're not gonna, we don't wanna be prescriptive because we may not think of everything, and we don't wanna be in a position where we have a duty to warn people of the possible dangers, but, you know, exercise good, responsible consideration of the different things you wanna do with the extra space. And that's one thing you probably wanna think about, is not,
I agree with you, Lisa. We don't want it to be too prescriptive.
yeah.
But this also leaves it up to, you know, a lot of speculation.
So what would people, if people looked at that, why would people think that they couldn't do anything with that other?
Because it says,
Because it doesn't say they can?
it says specifically what they are supposed to do, but does not acknowledge their right to do things outside of that.
But I'm the property, I have a right to do that, do I not?
Well, if we have a fire truck that needs to go down and you've got your 50-foot access way and you've put in, I don't know, Greene giants, which you can get 15 to 20 feet wide by the time they're 80 feet tall.
Right.
Even if you were to put those right on that 50-foot access way, then the foliage is going to encroach upon inside that 50 feet. Now we're gonna have a fire truck go down there and it needs to turn around and do all that kind of thing because they're long. And maybe it can't turn around in that driveway because there are trees there. Well, now you've got the property owner who's had these trees in there for a year, 10 or 50, and we're not thinking about that now. I mean,
Well, that's on them.
I can't. We want
This-
people to do what they want, but yet you're sitting right here now saying we want to tell them what they can do and what they can't.
we want to acknowledge their right to do with their property what they want to do. But this is very
They
prescriptive.
already have that right. It's not, this 50-foot length of access is no different than the 3, 4, 5, 10, 50, whatever many acres are back there in the flag, so to speak. It's their property. They can do whatever they want. We're just establishing a minimum right-of-way so the neighbors could not encroach upon this, so they have some cushion, so to speak. It's 50 feet wide. It's for everyone's protection. It's not saying you can't do this or can't do that, because it belongs to you, it's on the deed, it's your property. Do whatever you want with it.
Then let's have a really good definition about an access way. Because I don't currently know, I mean, let me go look at the whole ordinance, but I don't see within the subdivision ordinance a definition of of what an access way is. And you know, this isn't a hill that I'm willing to die on, but my goodness, we should be really careful when we say things like access way, that it actually has some sort of definition.
So putting a definition of an access way in,
Yes,
that's easy enough done.
all right. Now let's decide, what does an access way mean?
She just described it.
For the record, would you repeat what your definition of an access way is and what you're proposing should be in
This is not my definition, this is just I got on the internet, so I don't have any, this is not what I made up on my own.
Okay.
It's a designated route, path, or corridor such as a driveway, walkway, or alley that provides entrance to or exit from a specific property, building, or area frequently used in planning to connect to public roads or specifically for pedestrians or cyclists between streets. So we're going from the county road to your, I don't want to say parcel, but you would own it on the way.
To somebody's
So you're
parcel, yeah.
into where you're gonna build. And then aspects of an access way are vehicular access, pedestrian and bicycle, property, which would then be the driveway or the path, which would fall within the footage of an access way. And then just examples, driveways, pedestrian paths, service lanes, alleyways. It could even be a staircase in the building if that's what it was being used for. That was just Google. I have no emotional connection to it. When I read it, I'm like, a driveway falls in that. That's awesome. Because after I watched the meeting, I thought that from my interpretation of not being here and watching it was that 50 foot had to be all gravel, and that wasn't the case. You don't need 50 foot gravel all the way up to where you're gonna build. I don't think that was the intent written to the ordinance. Just that the driveway falls in that 50 feet to get to your home.
That's,
So does that access, that definition that Emily gave, does that clarify anything?
not really.
It's a much broader definition, it's a dictionary definition. If we put that definition here, it will need to cite the dictionary came out of.
That's a good
Yeah.
point.
But
I just want to make
It was just used
sure,
for me to know the difference, that all driveways are access ways, but not all access ways are driveways.
yeah, I just don't want to, yeah.
Kind of looked at it in my office this week.
I just don't want to put a burden on the landowner. Because we shouldn't be putting burdens on them. And those burdens could be,
Everybody
So
agrees with that.
So what is the burden on the landowner then?
well, if an access way is defined as a driveway, and a driveway then is defined as something that has, gravel or some permanence to it, then that could create a monetary burden on the person who has that parcel. And I'm just trying to keep government out of people's lives in the best way possible, because as Ronald Reagan said, the most terrifying words are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help you. So, there isn't anything that specifically says what you can and can't do, and I agree with Lisa, I don't want it to be too prescriptive, but there's no language in here that protects the right of the owner.
But it does say the owner may place a driveway of any width. It specifically says it doesn't have to be 50 feet.
Right. Yep.
It could be a goat path.
So,
So
anyway.
what definition would you put on that?
That's a really good question. I would like to think about that, because I don't want to, in my zeal to protect people, inadvertently create a burden on them. So if an access way were defined more like a right-of-way, then what kind of burdens do we put on a right-of-way? For example, a utility right-of-way, it's really smart that you don't encroach upon that right-of-way. You may have, underground water or electric, and you could have some really bad outcomes if you don't respect those right-of-ways. So, if we have a fire truck go down there and it can't turn around because, somebody's planted trees, we're talking 30% of somebody's 150 feet. If they've got 150 foot wide minimum parcel, a full third of that we're wanting to regulate.
Would you rather not have any regulation?
Yes,
Really?
really.
You'd love to run down the county road, run 100 mile an hour, wouldn't you?
The county roads are owned by the county. I'm talking about things that are owned by people individually.
I'm just thinking about, laws or whatever, things that we have to abide by for safety or whatever.
Mhm.
Is why I asked that question, because I had that comment to me one day.
Yeah, I'm a voluntarist, so I want people to do things that are in their own best interest and not forced to do some things that are not in their best interest. And when we look at 100, and somebody could have 1,000 foot road frontage and 50 feet would be de minimis. But if somebody just has the minimum 150 feet, then this is a third. So it's just, obviously I'm just one vote, but I want to make sure that I'm sticking up for the person that may have a financial burden put on them that would be unjust.
How about a 5-sentence definition of access way?
What do you got?
A property access way is a designated path, driveway, or route that provides vehicular or pedestrian ingress and egress to a property, often secured through legal easements or rights-of-way, which pretty much describes what we're looking for. 5 sentences. A property access way is a designated path, driveway, or route that provides vehicular or pedestrian ingress and egress to a property, often secured through legal easements or rights-of-way. Plain and simple.
I think that's better, but then we go back to what is a right-of-way and what is an easement? And if those things are, if there are definitions for that,
You jot that down.
yeah, I think that's much better. I just don't see anything in there that protects the person that, recognizes that they've got 150 feet, and 50 feet of this is designated, and if they, do something, I keep using planting trees because that's something that really increases with value over time. And so I just imagine at some point, somebody might say, nope, that 50-foot access way, an access way is not allowed to have foliage or trees, or we're gonna prescribe that it's asphalt instead of gravel.
But it doesn't say that. And that definition you read said pedestrian, so even if there is a tree, you could still walk across the property.
That 50-foot wide access way, it doesn't matter how long it is no different than the parcel that is attached to it. It's a piece of property owned by the property owner. The property owner has property rights. There's nothing that distinguishes it from the rest of the property. If the rest of the property is 1 acre, 10 acres, 100 acres, it doesn't matter. It's my property. We're just establishing a minimum to get from point A to point B so we don't have problems in the future with neighbors wondering why
I think,
my neighbor mows over here and I don't.
I think that another thing, I think we need to also keep in mind, instead of thinking that 50 feet is too big, that in some cases 50 feet could be too small. Because we do live in a farming community, and agricultural equipment is going to end up at someone's house eventually, and 50 feet might not be wide enough for you to drive.
That's an
a piece of
excellent
farm equipment
point.
down. So I think that 50 feet for some might be too big, but I think for others it could be too small. So I think, I don't want to be argumentative, I think that 50 feet, we haven't had very many people coming and complaining about 50 feet so far, that it's too big or too small, so I think, why can't we just?
Well, we do have in here, I just noticed the language, to be deemed a residential building tract.
Just to live there. That's just for administrative,
That's actually
not for minor.
really great. Well, I suppose we can do what we did before, which is do the best we can and then amend it later. But I just don't want people coming to bother Travis because all of a sudden, they put trees inside the 50 feet.
Nobody said nobody plant trees or plant whatever they want. Nobody
Okay,
said.
so if you're planting trees within that 50 feet and you're worried about the future,
Yes.
then you plan to plant. You plant those trees further back. A lot of people, I've seen I was just down the road the other day there by one of our farms, and they planted trees underneath the power line.
That's so dumb.
Okay,
That happens all the
it
time.
happens all the time.
Yes.
So, we're not trying to make it hard on anybody with that. So, but at some point, I, as a landowner, have to take some responsibility. We can do all we want to do.
I agree.
But if we write down every little tidbit for people, then we're taking their rights away. Or someone would accuse us of trying to take their rights away. So here, they have rights, and they still have rights, nobody's taken those rights. So, it's up to me to use some common sense to make those decisions on my own, whether I plant trees, or whether I plant fruit trees, whether I plant a garden in that area. There's a lot of things you can do. But we're not trying to take that away. I think we're just trying to establish some boundaries here, so that people, especially large fire trucks, all that stuff, and we talked about that even before you came on the commission at great length about emergency vehicles. And, you know, there's some of these places here that if emergency vehicle got in, I would be surprised at some point we don't get emergency personnel hurt because of it, because they're here to protect, so they're gonna go. Even if it's not the safest in the world. So, you know, I think I'm in favor of the 50 feet, to do it that way and move on, but it's not my total decision. So, but did we wanna add that,
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to add a definition of access way.
definition of access road, or access way?
Access way.
Access way.
Would you like to see that in an appendix? Or would you like to see it in the body of this section where we're talking about?
Well, we have an appendix somewhere in this document, gives definitions, do we
Yeah,
not?
don't we have a definition section?
No, not currently.
And we have to be careful, any definition that we put that is, you know, into the whole comprehensive plan may then apply to the whole comprehensive plan. So
Yeah.
let's avoid unintended consequences.
I have more I wanna talk about, I'm just waiting till we get that.
No,
I'm not trying to rush, I'm just waiting.
I'm thinking, why don't we just, I'm not gonna talk to myself here.
That's
Why
okay.
don't we just want,
No.
put it in the comprehensive plan as the definition?
If that's what it takes to do it.
You know, we can just pass it as is and litigate it later.
That's probably not the place for it. Should be in this document.
Okay, let's put it in this document then. Somewhere or other, can we add this definition somewhere in this document that's legal and everybody can understand it and
How about I just have an appendix at the end and just call it definitions, and we'll just have one definition for now? Maybe there'll be other words later that, you know, we need to define.
we talked about this being a fluid document, so.
Yes, yes.
So that's part of the fluid, being fluid part, so. It's up to this board, what do they want to do?
I think if we need a definition, I think logically speaking, if we need to maybe add a definition later, like Lisa said, we should just do it as its own section in the appendix.
Yeah, that'll give us the room to
Yeah.
add to
Room
it.
for improvement.
Yeah.
Is that a motion?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is that a motion to add this
Oh.
appendix at the end and? is
Yes,
that what
I
you're
make a
saying?
motion, sorry. I make a motion to add definitions to the appendix of the table of contents for the subdivision control ordinance, for definitions for access way, however that looks, and moving forward.
Do-
I'll second it.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna move in second to add definitions to this. Now, all in favor signify by saying aye,
I,
or raise your hand, that's fine.
sorry, it's video, I'm used.
I'm used to just doing aye.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
That's
all-
pretty much
any
opposed.
opposed, that's, I'm headed there, any opposed? Okay, motion carries, thank you. Now we need to do the definition, right?
That makes sense.
Todd read a definition, is that acceptable?
Lisa jotted that down.
Yeah,
Do we want to include this in with the other corrections on page 4 that are highlighted?
and there's also one addition on page, let's see, page 2, and it goes over to 3 since it's been circulated last, which is the advisory statement.
Which one, where is that?
It's on, starts at the bottom of page 2, there's an advisory statement that's new.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hmm.
It's really hard to see. It's just,
Yeah, it's E.
yeah. Yeah, go page 2 at the bottom.
So that's just
Oh,
really
okay.
providing information.
Yeah,
That's not requiring anybody to do anything.
just FYI, so people, reminding people that they may lose their homestead deduction if they have a,
I don't think that they lose the homestead deduction.
well, they won't have two.
I believe, again, I'm not in that office, but I believe you can only have a homestead deduction on one home. So if you have 3 homes on one parcel, you'd only get that deduction for one home. That's what I believe.
That's correct.
That's not my office's business, but I'm not gonna speak for them.
We thought you knew everything.
I don't know, I try sometimes. I do my
Are we
best.
changing E then? Are we doing
E
anything?
is a new item.
Okay,
E is a new subdivision.
Okay.
That's, I shouldn't say subdivision. It's a new part. Before it was just,
But that's already,
2A through
it's
D.
in this subdivision control ordinance already. So,
No, it's
We're
new
gonna add it,
today.
we wanna add it,
Yes.
possibly, okay. Okay, I see the darker now. Does everyone, I guess we need to see, is there any more discussion on that? Is there any other things in there?
I have one more thing to talk about. We've moved to it. That's in here. I have one more thing.
Okay.
Okay, so in administrative and then in minor, they're mimicking each other. We are gonna have people that don't wanna, they wanna deed people ground, but they're not gonna wanna deed them a driveway. So it would be an access, an easement, not an access. Okay, hold on, let me reword. I wanna give you an easement, but I don't wanna deed you the driveway to the site you're going to buy, but you want to be able to build there. And that is applicable in a minor subdivision. You can share an easement, up to 3 parcels can share one easement. There's qualifications that fall in there. But that's only from 6 to 8 parcels being created. But it can happen 1 to 5 parcels being created. That is a possibility. But the way it was worded before, it didn't apply. If you were dividing 1 to 5, 1 or up to 5 times, that had to be administrative, you had to follow these rules. So we added at the end that if the criteria cannot be met for administrative, that would then kick you over to a minor, and you have to follow that. To share a driveway up to 3 parcels, you have to do a maintenance agreement, and there's other criteria in there, but that would allow people to move both ways. If it is that way, and that's what it chooses to be, that would become a minor, that would then go to the plat committee. So that is allowing people to use an access easement to be residential. Right, Lisa? Did I say that right?
Pretty much,
Yes.
yeah.
There could have been a little word messed up in there, but. That would be like if you have 80 acres and someone wants to buy 2 acres, you don't want it, and they're all the way to the back, you don't want to deed them 50 feet all the way to the back. But you could give them an easement, but that would only be creating 2 parcels. That's administrative plat. We already said B, you have to own it to be residential. If you don't own it, if you are going to have an easement, that is applicable in minor. So it could move to a minor if it meets all the qualifications to do so. Is that? I think in past meetings and while working through this ordinance, that was kind of discussed, that shared driveways,
Yeah,
people
Lori
need
had a lot to
easements
say
in.
about shared driveways.
So, that would, but in a minor, there's a maintenance agreement that would have to be recorded in your deed. There's some stuff that needs to go in there, but this would apply from one to the other. And then it's mimicked in minor, the same way, that it could fall in that category.
Yeah, I see that on page 7. Yeah, page 7, top of page 7.
Yeah. And that's just for me. What did the surveyor tell me? Put boots on the ground. We read an ordinance, it looks really cool, and then we go to put it in place, we see some kinks. We just need to kind of amend it. And then moving forward. And so, that's just some stuff that's been brought to my attention since putting it into practice.
You're speaking to someone who deals with it every day.
Yes, I do.
Makes sense to me.
I don't have a problem with it.
Okay,
And that's all of my TED talk, so.
And that's all of the new stuff, since the last meeting we had, it's just a few little things. So I guess we want to entertain a motion to approve these last two, new pieces of language in here.
okay.
So one is the new item E, the advisory statement. And the other one is in the heading of administrative subdivisions and minor subdivisions, where we talk about how some situations may kick something from administrative over to minor.
Someone wanna make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Andrew seconds it. All those in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Raise your hand.
Sorry, Julie.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
So, we need to think about whether it's ready to be looked at by the public and decide we want to have a hearing on this version.
Comments, will of the board. Do we want to send this, is it ready to go to the public for,
I'm not aware of anything else we've been discussing the change, or I think we've got it all in
Yeah.
there.
okay. So I guess we need a motion.
Motion to make this, to, move on to the public hearing.
I'll second it.
Okay, Todd makes a motion, Marcia seconds it. All those in favor signify by, raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Okay, thank you.
So then we'll have a public hearing then at the April meeting then.
Sounds good, if it's ready. Okay, anything else on this drafting for this item of discussion here while we're here? Seeing none, we'll move on.
Before you move on, could we collect signatures on the meeting minutes
Sure.
for February, please? Pass them. Thank you.
Oh, it was,
Oh, okay. I'll fix that. I'll do the corrections.
Just noticed that.
Yeah.
All right. Move on. Before we get started in the solar discussion continuation, Travis, do you have anything that you need to say? No. Thank you. Continuation of the solar here. Part of it, we started out a few weeks ago about this frequently remarks and questions about commercial farm frequented remarks and topics. We'll get back to that, but it's been suggested that we reach Miami counties and certain counties, what's the other county? Harrison. Yeah, something like that. Marcia ran, I'd like to pass those out wherever they're at. Lord, I hope this place don't catch on fire or burn up here.
Let's see here.
You know, while you're passing those out, I'll start the discussion. We've had a plot twist at the Indiana state level with regards to data centers and commercial solar projects and things like that. We mentioned at the last meeting HB 1333, which is literally the state of Indiana trying to preempt us from having control over our local property. And Adam Dufour did some really, really excellent videos the last couple of weeks. I don't know if you've seen those on Facebook. So I'm just going to kind of summarize what Adam Dufour pointed out. And that is a couple of things. First of all, with the state of Indiana trying to end around our property rights, what Adam found is that commercial green energy companies are doing leases with property owners here in Washington County that include a non-disclosure clause, which says they are not allowed to show or share the contract with anyone ever. They're not allowed to talk about it. The gag order that they sign could actually get them sued out of existence by a multi-billion-dollar company that convinced them to sign it. So we're starting off with a lack of transparency. What I've seen on the news with data centers and other commercial solar projects throughout the state of Indiana is that citizens are often surprised that anything was even being considered. And then you find that people on commissions or boards like ours had actually been in contact, but yet signed non-disclosure agreements with some of these companies. So obviously that's not in the best interest of transparency and disclosure to the property owners. So if the company is doing, you know, such good for the county, why would their contracts be top secret and have no transparency? So Adam Dufour actually met with representatives from Ranger Power. Now, Ranger Power has been to our meetings before. They seem to have been very forthcoming. And Adam mentioned they'd expected, you know, like one guy was going to show up, but actually 3 showed up, which surprised him. And the answer that they gave him as to why there were non-disclosure clauses was, we don't want others to copy our contracts. And Adam rightfully pointed out that that's a very weak argument, because these types of contracts use uniform language that they know will make it through the court systems, and that's where their protection actually lies, is in the uniformity. So he had obtained a contract from an unknown person, somebody that wishes to remain anonymous for obvious reasons, and Ranger Power admitted that each of the things, including non-transparency and non-disclosure, were all things that Ranger admitted were also in their contracts, even though it wasn't actually a Ranger contract that Adam had. So one of the things that Adam found is that Ranger and other companies had said, oh, you know, we're a private company, so you're safe, we can't take your property by eminent domain. But yet the contracts, and this is what's non-disclosed, it's not known by the neighbors, most of the people signing this do not have any idea what this actually is doing to them. The contracts allow Ranger and other companies to sell the facility that they've built on the property that they've leased from the owner to a public utility. Now that's an end around, because then public utilities could go on and they can indeed take your property through eminent domain. So another problem with these contracts is that they can unilaterally extend the contract. Obviously, the lease person has no say. So a lot of people have said to me, hey, Lucy, I want to lease out my farm because, you know, 10, 20, 30 years from now, I want to be able to hand it over to my grandkids, or I want them to have the option to farm. Now, outside of the expected environmental toxins and destruction of the property that seems to be happening with these centers, there's also that problem of the unilateral extension of the contract. So the people, you know, at that point would not even have the opportunity to give it back to their own family. Now, the thing that I thought that Adam said was most interesting is that there are 40 counties in Indiana that he identified. That's about half so far that are embroiled in lawsuits. And it's not because people are fighting back and suing the companies. It's actually because these multi-billion-dollar companies are suing the counties, which obviously is going to create legal cost and burden upon our taxpayers. But the legal theory that they're suing on, and this is exactly tied into what we're about to pass out here, is that the regulations have gone beyond the minimum reasonable guidelines of the state, which ties back to HB 1333, which is trying to preempt us and make sure that, that they have control over our property. So while the companies have encouraged us, rangers attempted to befriend us, they're going to help us write the rules. Remember that last year? They're like, hey, we've got some great language for you. We just want to help you do your job, Plan Commission. They don't really care what the ordinances say because they will sue us knowing that they will beat us in court. There's already enough case law for them to know in advance that they're going to beat us. So instead, what Adam suggested, and I'm going to say I wholeheartedly agree with this, is that we need something extremely, extremely simple. Specifically, a proposed resolution that commercial solar is a non-permitted use in the agricultural zone of the county. Now, as Adam explained it, his videos are short, they're about 15 minutes each. I would encourage you all, to watch them. But the reason that this is so brilliant is because the majority of our land is indeed agricultural. And if they wanted a variance, then they could come to us and go through the normal BZA process. They could ask for a variance. There could be public hearings. The adjacent landowners would receive notification and have the opportunity to come have a say. Now that protects us as a county from future legal fees because, as Adam has explained and I understand, going through that BZA process, whether that variance is granted or not, protects us from them being able to bring a lawsuit against us. That would be a final say. So I'm not an attorney. I mean, Marcia and Lisa can probably speak to this better.
I was just thinking if they disagree with the BZA decision, then they can sue us like they did. I mean, we have been already over other stuff before solar ever came along.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody doesn't like a BZA decision, they sue us.
Right. So
it doesn't matter which way it would go.
So we're always going to be bullied by multi-billion-dollar companies. So the thing that, and again, not an attorney, want to be one, haven't made that in my life yet, is that we protect Washington County and its agricultural heritage, and that we prevent ourselves from being bullied, whether it's by the state, that has not passed yet. I just looked at that, and the HB 1333 apparently has not passed. There's another HB 1416 that's very similar. I'm not sure exactly what the differences are. I'd have to look at my notes. But I think we need to be very cognizant about protecting the agricultural land that we have from these uses. And so my proposal would be to echo what Adam said, and love for y'all to see the videos that he did. If Adam were here tonight, I would bring him up. I don't know. Jacob, do you feel like this is something where you have an opinion on? Where you've talked to your dad about it, or?
I don't.
Yeah. So what Adam suggested seems to be the cleanest and the thing that not only protects us from having our rights preempted, but there is a path for those companies, that want to come in and do a commercial solar. They can ask for the variance, and that would give us as a community more control over what actually occurs in our community.
So these ordinances, you feel like that other counties have passed are not sufficient?
Well, from what Adam said, and he did not mention specific cases, he simply said he'd identified over 40 where we as Plan Commission, our colleagues in other counties, had attempted to put restrictions that were desired by the locals. Something like you can't have more than 500 acres. And I put out a public document. It's at lucybrenton.com/solar. And you can go click the link here where I have compiled an immense amount of information from different counties. And so you can see, not just Harrison or Miami, but you can see what other counties have attempted to limit projects to 200 or 300 acres. And the projects that are proposed are so incredibly immense in this county. I mean, when you think about 2,000 acres over your dog trot in State Road 56, and the 8,000 acres that's been proposed by Hecate, I mean, that's a massive amount. That really changes the shape and heritage of our county. So what's y'all's thoughts?
Well, thoughts?
Well, I think as we've talked from the beginning, it's a balancing act between the property owner's right to contract with these companies if they want to, but yet our duty to keep our county intact and not have, you know, it covered with solar panels all over the place, but yet also allow property owners who are no longer farming or grazing cattle to get a revenue source from their land. And so I think you walk a fine line, and like I said, I think there's no way to avoid litigation. If they're gonna sue us, they're gonna sue us. And even, I was reading a case today where Mammoth Solar up in Pulaski County, their application got approved and the landowner sued because the neighbors didn't want it there. So even though Mammoth Solar succeeded, the county still got sued. Then it went to the Court of Appeals, and the Court of Appeals just looked at the procedure. They said, hey, BZA didn't approve this properly because they didn't meet all the qualifications, so they had to go back and start all over again.
You have oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I was just saying, and then that's why I think it's kind of unrealistic to think that we can avoid litigation, because it's just gonna happen.
One thing I wanted to point out was, in some cases, even in Indiana, according to Danielle, there is farming going on, and it's happening a lot to the west of here in some of our western states, where they're growing crops underneath the panels, and they're finding that they use considerably less water than what they would if they didn't have that panel to shelter it. And so there's also allowances for sheep.
Yep.
And in some cases, they're continuing to raise livestock on agricultural lands where there are solar farms, and also raising crops. And I'm assuming they're probably things like salad crops, I don't know, underneath those panels themselves. So we have to be thoughtful of restricting someone's opportunity to continue farming on land that is agricultural now. It's going to continue to be agricultural, perhaps, in order for them to continue growing crops.
This one in Pulaski County, they were gonna graze sheep and llamas, and they were also doing, I can't remember what they called them, some kind of pollination, like it would attract bees and birds to encourage pollination.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember what they were called.
Wildflowers.
Thanks, John.
Forms. Forms.
I think those are all really great points. I think what we might have lost sight of is, you know, it's a very pretty sight to think about the wildflowers under these panels. But what are the panels made out of? What are they leaching into our soil? Do we want to eat livestock that have grazed under, I don't know, tungsten, nickel, zinc, copper, lead? I mean, I don't know what these panels are made out of. And what kind of evidence do we have that the soil is not contaminated to the point where, you know, whether it's salad crops or sheep, that's something that would even be fit for human consumption? I am super sensitive to the rights of every individual property owner, but our rights to our individual stop right at the edge of our property. We cannot encroach, trespass, cause harm in any way where that would create a liability. If I had, you know, an outhouse on, you know, the edge of my property and that spills over into my neighbor's yard, they would have a problem with me, and they would be rightful to have that problem with me. And so we don't know, and I've not been presented with any evidence, perhaps you have, about soil contamination. Now, we also have immense caves under our county, as you know, as well as Harrison County, and those caves create all kinds of watersheds, even more than a watershed someplace without caves, because we don't know where all that water is going to be directed. underneath. With the karst topography that we have to be very careful about things like drilling into the ground and that vibration collapsing limestone caves, which might be providing somebody's well.
Okay.
So I think we have a lot of things in this county that are unique.
Right, and we have a lot to think about. And, you know, the property rights is a big thing here, you know, you brought it up, Lucy, property rights. So if I want to put solar panels on my property, do I have that right to do that in your book?
For two reasons, the answer is yes. One, there is a state law that makes a very good distinction between residential panels and commercial panels. And when you think about residential panels, people aren't engaged in a commercial process, the commercial use, so they're not looking to sell that to their neighbors, they're looking for it for their own personal use. The scope of those panels is very different than the scope of 2,000 or 8,000 acres. So if I were to put, I don't know, my house is, 25 or 30 feet wide and 80 feet long. So if I were to put 2,400 square feet of panels on top of my house, then the likelihood of contamination simply based on scale is, I would say, de minimis compared to 8,000 acres. There's also no drilling that I'm going to be doing into my land in order to make sure that those things aren't falling away, because they basically become giant sails. So I think there's a really huge distinction in the amount of scale.
All right.
And I would like to add, if it were shown.
One more minute.
Oh, yeah. If it were shown that there was some sort of runoff or contamination from those panels, then my neighbor could say, hey, Lucy, you got some contamination here, you need to stop it. And at that point, it becomes my responsibility to stop the harm to my neighbor.
What if you don't?
And if I don't, obviously, there's no there. But what we do know,
There's no what?
if there's no action needed, in other words, if I'm not harming my neighbor, then obviously no action is
Who's
needed.
gonna make that determination?
Well, first, you should come to your neighbor and you should say, hey, I've got a problem with you. And then they should present the evidence of that problem. And if there is evidence of harm, you ask them to voluntarily stop harming you. And if they will not voluntarily stop harming you, then you go to the authority that's in place, which would be a lawsuit, whether that's civil or criminal. So we already have this throughout society. If my dog runs loose and gets onto my neighbor's yard and kills a chicken, which actually my neighbor's dog has done to mine many times, then I went to my neighbor and she gave me $20 to replace the chicken. But had she failed to do that, I could have had a cause of action for the loss of the chicken.
Okay. All right,
So,
thank you.
yes.
What we've got here, I'd like to pass this out now, or it's already out, the Harrison County ordinance. This probably, you'll see the scribble marks on copies that we ran. We're not gonna get into this too deep tonight, but this probably, we've read several documents like this. Harrison County probably is the most like our county of any of them, of those. I would like for you all to take those home, read those, digest those. We'll come back with these for questions on this. I'm having trouble in my mind trying to understand how one simple thing can keep us out of trouble. And more likely, we're gonna get in trouble whichever way we go. It's just society today, or the way I see it. I'm speaking for Kevin, I'm not speaking for anybody else. The thing about these things here, these ordinances, to me, pose a lot of guidance, a lot of, yes, this is what you need to do, this is your setbacks, that type of thing. Like I said, they've covered a lot of stuff in this. So, anywhere from financial assurances, bonds, and that type of thing, if they're allowed. So, like I said, I would like for us to take these and read this while we printed them out. And we would like to discuss that more at the next meeting, if possible. So that's your homework from this meeting, I guess. You can look other places as you want to, but I don't know where all this information came from. But it looked like a pretty good document to me, because, you know, in definitions, we talked about, you know, having what people can do, what they can't do, should they plant trees here, can they plant trees there, whatever. This is where the solar or energy farm comes in, that they would have some guidelines to play by. To me, it's really, I don't see how it could be, how they could afford to do all this, but I guess they can. But I will say one thing, my wife, Linda, she had looked and she read just something from Michigan. Landowner put in a solar farm, and he did that. Thought, yeah, we'll do it, we'll be able to save the farm. It didn't quite work out that way. The solar company went broke. They paid him that big money one year. The next year, they went broke, bankrupt. The new company bought it, or took it over. The reduced, the rent that they said, we'll pay you, we won't pay you the $1,500 that we agreed, that the other company agreed upon per acre per year. The next company come in and they said, we'll give you 150, take it or leave it. That's all you're gonna get. They already had the panels there. Did not have any regulations to prevent this. The husband, after just a while, he had a heart attack and died from the stress from it. So I just brought that up first to think about too, just about this. But I like, you want stuff spelled out for people. This is spelled, the documents like this is spelled out for the energy companies that are coming in or wanting to come in, is what they can do and what they can't do. Will they like it? Probably not. Will they sue us? I guess possibility. You know, I mean, we could get sued for saying the wrong word here tonight. So, you know, it's the society we live in. They're in Kevin's opinion. So anyway, I'd ask for you all to look at that. And we can discuss that or these matters in the next meeting. Anybody else got anything before I get back on to try to work on this commercial farm frequented remarks and topics? Seemed like I said a whole lot of talking, didn't say much.
Yes, you did, you're good.
Okay, so we were on number 4, repairs of the weight and panels for road maintenance. What's people's opinion if we pass something here along this line? What would those, what's that look like to you all? I'll start on Emily's side over here.
You say the road weights?
Yes, repairs of the weight of panels for road maintenance. You know, what that, is that something?
I mean, I don't really have a heavy weighted opinion on that, but I know with like detours and stuff like that, if the detour causes damage to the county road, then, you know, someone else is responsible for repairing it back to the way that it was, not necessarily the county highway department, so, I don't know, that's just an idea, I guess, I don't know.
So you're saying basically that there should be, you feel like there should be something to compensate the county if that occurs?
Or, yeah, back to the standard it was, or,
Okay, so that would need to be, if we pass an ordinance, that would need to be in an ordinance as well, okay, which is in a lot of these ordinances. Andrew, anything?
I'd agree with that.
Okay. Marcia?
Oh, yeah, I mean, if somebody else damages our roads, I think they ought to be paying for it, that's for sure.
Okay.
I think we should defer to the highway department superintendent to get a more direct answer that we're gonna be you're gonna be hamstrung in some respect, which is a good thing, by the maximum weight for some of our bridges.
Yeah.
So this problem will probably take care of itself, but Rick Boyles could probably answer that question in about 5 minutes, and I'd be happy to speak with him. We can get that resolved.
Lucy?
I agree, there needs to be, not just the regulation, but it needs to have some teeth. I just Googled while we were talking Ranger Power, since they're the ones that have, that are here. And there's already apparently lawsuits against Ranger Power for destroying county roads, and destroying roads. And there's multiple lawsuits here. There's also some violations that are noted in Pulaski County, where Jennifer Nebel, who is a county commissioner in District 1 of Pulaski County, said that they have 88 road violations, and that's $1,000 per violation. And this was just reported in December, so.
Yeah. Well, the document would have to have some teeth in that as well to help bonding issues, that bonding and that type of thing to help compensate for that. And that all should be done before they come to the county. So, but anyway, okay. Abandonment. Now, what's your thoughts on abandonment? Lucy, I'll start with you. I'll go from one side of the room to the other.
I think that's what, one of the things that the bonds generally cover,
Right.
correct?
Yep.
For that. And it was interesting when you talked about that Michigan case and the guy who unfortunately passed away from the stress. We have seen other bad corporate actors who use bankruptcy as a business model. And when you look at Ranger Power, they're not going to do Ranger Power over on the west side of the county. They're doing Dog Trot Solar. And so they're already doing layer within layer of different corporate structures in order to provide some risk management for themselves. But of course, that puts the risk on us.
Okay. Tom?
I don't have anything.
Okay. Marcia?
I mean, that's what the bonds are in place for, so.
That may be something too, they said 150% of the cost of production or decommissioning for a bond, and then that needs to be revisited every few years as well, so. Okay. That says who, when, how, restore to original use. I don't know if you can ever restore it to original use or not, but maintaining the upkeep of the panels and of the grounds appearances is a sub number under that. Thoughts on any of that, anybody? I won't go around the room right now and pick on anybody, because I think everybody's about done out. Of course, you want them to maintain and keep up things, and that has to be spelled out as well in a document. I'm still trying to get my head around the one-page document that does all of that, but anyway. Ingress, egress, they have to have the same ingress and egress as what a subdivision would have to have.
I don't know if they would have to, but that would only be for newly created parcels, so if it's an existing parcel, then I don't have an answer for you.
Okay. Easements with, who maintains, there's just a lot of things for us to think about in all of this, and I think some of these documents have done a really good job on some of that. What can and cannot be done inside the project, livestock, vegetation, plants, flowers, that type of thing. I know the farm that Linda, 1,800-acre farm that we visited in Ohio, just outside of Columbus. Wish I could remember the name of it. University of Ohio worked on a project within that about doing that with wildflowers and that type of thing, and it just didn't work out there from what we could see. So, matter of fact, I think they just, it was good for about a year, and it wasn't good because nobody maintained it, so. But anyway, okay. All right. We'll move on down. We'll get back to the solar next week. If I can find my agenda amongst all of this. What do I do with it? There it is. I got it. I'm headed to Max right now. Max, you're on to speak from the audience. Thank you for coming.
Everybody has copies of your email. Okay.
I think I got.
Did you get one?
Yeah.
Lucy?
Oh, yeah, I did, thank you for asking.
Okay.
Thank you.
I thought it was in something.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, there's an email. These are some new ones.
Yeah, let me go ahead and take it, just because I've got so much stuff here, I can't even find it.
What this is compliance with the 5-14-9-6, the beginning and expiration dates for the members that have to be on your agenda. And the board was originally appointed in 2010 with a 1-year, 2-year, 3-year, and 2 4-year terms. And that's the way 4 years each term after that. And if you look at what you got right now on your agenda, it doesn't reflect a 1 year, 1 year, 1 year, and 2 year term, when the term limits roll out. I went back and had Travis give me the minutes from the zoning board meetings, so I could go ahead and see who replaced who. You're gonna find there's a couple of places that's missing because they were only on for about 3 months. But that's still, through all his records shows who replaced who and which terms were due and when they're due back. And the vacancies required to be filled within 90 days. They can't be refilled by the individual who's on the board at the time when their expiration runs out. I'm also gonna say this is a 180-degree reversal on the flagpole type building sites that you're wanting. Back in the beginning of time, David Hoare was railed against this because the Indiana Land Company was part of the catalyst for this. They didn't want, the original board didn't want to see any flagpole type 50-foot wide, a 1/4 mile long or a 1/2 mile long, just to get back to 2 acres of ground. That and that was back when they was wanting only over 10 driveways per acre or per mile. And now we're wanting to go just 180 degrees away from what the original board started out with. So I don't know what your views are on that. And then as far as public comment, you've got to go ahead and take this other thing to the public, but we still haven't addressed the grades and the curves, which is required to be on what I brought up at the other meeting before when you passed this first original ordinance. That I think a couple of pages of your original document needs to be added in to make your document actually be legitimate. And also, I've noticed that you haven't started adding the YouTube channel live streaming as the state requires, which that's a good thing, which wasn't on the previous thing, but I'm sure you'll get it straightened up for your next public notice to get everything above board so that when you do things like this, especially like if you're with your solar stuff that you're getting ready to go through, you want to dot your I's and cross your T's and have everything above board according to the state, so that you're not giving a freebie reason for the state or for somebody to be able to beat you in court over a decision that you may or make that wouldn't normally be considered a reasonable decision by the boards. And that's
Any questions?
That's what I got.
Any questions for Max? Thank you, Max.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Anybody else from the public that would like to say something? Come on. All right. Anybody, anything else from this commission? What is 8:01? I need a motion if you, does anyone want to adjourn, or you want to stay here and keep going?
No, I make a motion with adjourn.
I'll second that.
We were just waiting for the okay.
All those in favor, man, you should just jump in. All those in favor signify, raise your hand, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?